Apologies for the brief technical difficulties we experienced in the intro of this episode. We encountered a bit of audio issues at first, but we slowly got back on course. Today we talked to Marc Borins about the new album by Adam and the Volumes, Toronto-based garage pop, psych, rock, indie band. They've been a favorite of mine for over a decade since I discovered them. Mark and I did some catching up in the beginning, but as I stated, audio difficulties. Anyway, we talk about creativity as a separate entity and what it's like writing and recording a new album after 10 years. Stay tuned in, and I hope you enjoy. We're good now. I think we're up.
Hi, everybody.
So we were talking about the good old days. We had reminisced about the initial release, which was Adam and the Volumes, this one here. And we talked about a keg party that Adam and the Volumes threw, where they performed a set, and we just spoke on the release. Now I'm just trying to recover from that. Let's just roll with it.
Sure.
All right. So we talked about reminiscing. We met up and we talked about. Okay. So let's sort of reiterate on the album, because we missed that. New album, All For You. It's been about 10 years since the last release. I know you just said everything, but let's talk about the writing process again and how that looks.
So, well, you were asking, I mean, do songs just ooze out of me? And I wish I could say they did. It's tricky to write a good song, and they come in all shapes and forms, and certainly contributions from everybody on the team. Whether it be a lyric or a good melody or a nice phrase that you want to repeat over and over again until it sticks. Like that's kind of how it's worked for us. You try to take a voice note, you try to write it down, you try to write down whatever you're feeling, and you try to find it again when you're ready to sit down and work on it a little more. And then you try to explain it to the other guys, and they do the same for me. And next thing you know, we've got something really interesting and different, and that's kind of what we're going for, and we have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, music is definitely a really tricky thing to talk about, isn't it? Like to convey to somebody when you want to, just get a message across. No, it should sound like this. It's really like talking about color, I've heard.
Yeah. It's hard to describe music. It's hard to describe what the sound is that you're going for. Like when you talk to a producer, you talk to somebody that's mastering your album or audio mixing. They'll say, "Oh, do you have a song in mind where you want the drum to sound like that?" Or what do you think needs to change? And it's really hard to describe what it is and use the right adjectives to tell somebody who's not necessarily, they don't know you in and out. That's actually one thing that is really cool about being in a band and being brothers or sisters with the people that you play music with, is they do get you. They can kind of anticipate what you might think of or do, and you know them so well that it kind of just flows that way, and you can get to something quicker that way. So surely the people that you pair up with and you want to play music with are people that you love playing with and that you have a good time. Like, just, if you were kids, you play in the playpen. If you're in a band, you're playing all the time, and that's fun.
So speaking of these other people that you're in a band with, Mikey is somebody that we've had on the podcast before, and he's also produced this record. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. No, Mikey is an integral part of everything that we do.
Yeah, is he easy to convey these kinds of things to, or do you still have to?
Mikey's a dream. He's one of the sweetest guys in the world. His openness and love and generosity and general flow is I don't think there's anybody that wouldn't want to be around this guy. He's a special dude.
He is a
And
special dude.
he brings a lot, like ideas. And actually, I should give him full credit. Cadillac Dreams is very much a Mikey song. Cadillac Dreams is a song that he was coming up with different ideas on, like a program, like into not GarageBand, but something like that. He had kind of put all the pieces together of a cool melody. We didn't listen to it much, but we gave it enough of a listen to come back and just like right away had a good thing, I think. And then at that point, it was just putting some fun lyrics to it and getting the groove going. So yeah, there's lots of contributions. Mikey has a great ear. He's fabulous with the equipment. He knows what he's doing in the studio. So yeah, I would say that Mikey produced the album, but we did it collaboratively. So a lot of the choices that we made throughout the whole thing, recording it ourselves and doing it in his space with his gear, and a lot of our own gear too. But yeah, being able to choose from, I don't know if you've seen his collection of basses or guitars,
Some of them, yeah,
or anything. I mean, you got lots to choose from for sounds, and that helps a band who likes to make noise, for sure.
it definitely does. So let's just retouch on the artistic direction of the album display, because that was muted.
Yeah, sure.
Really love the whole space theme.
Cool. We're grooving.
Really love the whole space theme and everything. Go on about, you were saying that you worked on that yourself, and you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's hard to say where the concept came from. I started playing with shapes on Adobe Illustrator. I was just layering different things, and I did enough versions of it that I settled on one that I liked, and I kind of kept adding bits and pieces to it, and really had a good time with the space theme. And what I was saying to you before, that this was right before that brand new gorgeous telescope pictures and everything came out, and people were all looking at that.
The James Webb telescope.
Exactly. I'd used the previous one, the Hubble.
Yeah.
I used one of those pictures to be the backdrop of a lot of the work that we created for the artwork. And when I saw those new pics, I was like, oh, I wonder if everybody's going to think that, like, because of this is why I went all spacey, and now there's going to be so many space pictures everywhere. But no, it was cool. I had so much fun doing it, and it was fun to put my head down and just see what I could come up with. And I learned a couple things along the way, and the next thing that I'm trying to figure out better is After Effects, and how I could use the Illustrator pieces and assets that we created for the album to make moving pictures more interesting.
Yeah. I like the interesting little post you made on your Instagram, I believe it was, with like the pieces of the album sort of spinning and the triangles there and everything. So yeah, that was
some of my first attempts at using After Effects. I had a really good time with it. Still lots to learn there. And yeah, hopefully I'll share some more things like that when the album does drop on the 6th.
Awesome. So what is it like being in the studio and recording the album? Like, you guys are there as a whole unit, right? Like, does it feel like performing live when you're recording, or do you like segment, like you recorded guitars separately from the drums, obviously, right? For an album.
Yeah, I mean, different songs took different shapes. Most of the time we were there together, even if it wasn't our turn to get in there and play a specific part. But yeah, there was a lot of live off the floor. There was, I mean, certain songs. There's a song on the album, like Take a Photo, kind of had a completely different approach. Started in a completely different way than we usually would, and mostly just using pads and synthesizers and a drum machine, which was really fun and experimental for us. And we had a good time with that song. So I'm still free to hear it. But generally, when we're recording, it's the songs are mostly already written. There's not too much arrangement talk that needs to be figured out at that point. So it's more just laying down the parts that we want with the instruments that we want, and and deciding which one we like the most. And then the tricky part is taking it back and like pulling away some layers so it's not too dense and you don't have everything firing all at the same time. So deciding on what to keep and what to say bon voyage to. And also, I mean, we took a long time with it. We didn't rush the thing, and there's goods and bads to that too, because you get too attached to certain parts of recording that you really unnecessary. You would have made that decision a lot quicker if you were just trying to get it done, you know?
Yeah.
So
Something I've learned about pre-production is that, you know, you can change a song a million different ways, or you can always bring it back to the way it initially was. So there's a lot of different things that can be done. I mean, as far as like, you know, adding different things and like seeing what works. And, you know, whenever feels right is generally the best. And when it feels right, like for everybody. I mean, I've never personally been part of a collaborative music project that required like time and effort like the way that you guys put into it. Usually I'm just doing stuff by myself, and I have this habit of a bit OCD where I need to finish it now or else it won't get finished, you know?
Sure.
Big procrastinator when it comes to coming back to a project. So the fact that this podcast even still exists is a miracle. But when it happens, usually that thing that I roll with, if it's feeling good, then it comes out good, and that's just because of the way that I've sort of you know, you like go with the flow, that term.
Yeah.
And
you always have to go with the flow. Things come up. One thing I will say that happened more than it didn't was sometimes the first take is the best take, and it's not because it's perfect. I mean, there's a lot of like it's funny, like you can try things 4 times in a row, but sometimes the feel is actually in that first take most of the time. And maybe it takes a little bit of massaging, but like we kind of came across that a few times with whether vocals you kind of sometimes need to warm up into, but when it comes to like, man, that guitar just felt right in that first one. I know that you may have whatevered on that part, but like it just kind of felt honest or like real, and that's really what you want is that feeling at the end of it, to be happy with what you put down, because you can always change it live, but once you put that album out, you're probably not replacing the versions of any of those songs ever.
it's interesting though. I like artists that do perform a song differently live than it's performed on the album. It gives a separate like sort of take to it. But I've heard this phrase, art decorates space and music decorates time. How do you feel that relates to like your creativity?
Say it one more time.
Art decorates space and music decorates time.
Well, I think it's a very interesting statement. I wonder who said it, but I think that yes, music's all about space and time. I think you play a song slightly too fast, and it has a completely different feeling, and a really noticeable one. Like there's certain songs that I just want to be able to feel that certain bob that happens in between what I play, you know, and really hard to get that if you know, so space and time, leaving spots that don't have much. And hey, the Jerry Garcia way is, it's not the notes you play, it's the notes you don't play. I mean, that's like, there's one part in the song that he's going to play that one note that everybody's waiting for, and you don't know when it's coming. And I mean, that's part of it, right? It's like, you don't need to do that part that rocks every verse. You might want to slip it in just once somewhere and make the person want to listen to the song again for that part, if that's the part that's getting them off. So, I mean, space and time, the first part of that message, once I heard space and time, I was like, yeah, that's all about writing a good, or listening to a good song, is those decisions that they made early on. or maybe not early on.
I feel that music is definitely all about feeling, like not just how the artist feels about the project or whatever, but like the consumer listening to the project is like they've got to feel it, right? Like you're not just going to listen to it and enjoy it because it's good music. You have to feel a good tune, you know?
Sure.
I
Yeah, I
don't think that
completely agree.
there's not many uh there's not much music that I listen to personally that I think is like that I'll sit there and admit, oh wow, that's a really good song, and say that I don't feel anything generated from it after listening to it, you know? It's
Yeah, no,
definitely
I totally feel you on that. There's a band that's not new that has a newish album out there, The Beaches. And I wasn't too familiar with them too long ago, but I mean, they've got a couple songs on the radio that just like bop. You hear it and you're like, that is super catchy. And anybody can appreciate a catchy song. I mean, they happen to be in a genre that I enjoy. But I mean, even if it wasn't, there's songs that get out there. They're new and just right away you feel it. You know, you get what they're going for. That what you can get in their head on where they might have been when they had that idea, maybe.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think a lot of the creative process has to do with that feeling. I mean, not necessarily trying to convey the feeling that you're feeling, but it always just comes out as a feeling. And music just has that quality or that power to it, and it's so strong.
sure. Yeah, the
Um,
power of music.
how do you feel about what your music has done? I mean, I don't know what kind of messages you've got from people, but like, how do you feel about what your music has done for people?
That's a really good question. I mean, uh, while I was muted, you were saying all sorts of really nice things about how our music or our energy made you feel, and that was super nice to hear. I mean, yeah, like a lot of my friends and buddies who I know, they'll come out and support shows and they'll listen to our tunes, and hopefully we get semi-honest feedback from them. But yeah, like real people that I don't know that listen to the music that enjoy it, and I mean, it's really feels great to know that people do, and I think that's when you're putting up music, you just gotta feel confident and hope that other people are gonna dig your vibe, and you gotta know where to find those people too.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of feedback about stuff? I mean, it's been a while since
It's been a
you've.
while. It's been a while. I mean, yeah, we used to get some nice feedback. Yeah, people sharing some of our tunes and inquiries about from other cool bands in the area wanting to put on shows with us, and that was the best compliment you could get. Other cool musicians that you admire wanting to share a bill with you, and yeah, we're excited to play some more shows and get back to that and see what people think of some of these songs, and hopefully uh, it's funny you say, because when we were playing shows more than 10 years ago, or putting out our last album, um, I don't think Instagram existed yet, or it was just starting. Spotify wasn't around, that's for sure. Um, and there weren't as many ways to share in the ways that you can now. But I mean, Facebook and Twitter were top of the world, and anything that you shared there would probably get seen by most of your followers or friends at the time. I don't think that's the way anymore. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if there is feedback in it, if the same people hear it and if they can find it, and I hope they do.
It's interesting how the social world has changed structurally
Mhm.
just in a couple of years. You know, it's a big shift, and I'm excited to see things actually move forward and progress for like everybody. Like, hopefully, the shift in this social networking will make it so that more people can find your music. You know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like there used to be, I feel like an old man talking about, oh, back in the day when the kids these days like YouTube. You know, YouTube, you used to post a video on YouTube, and that was the thing that you shared to all your social networks. It'd be like, we just put out this video on YouTube, go check it out on YouTube. But I mean, all the social networks have figured that out. They don't want you to go to YouTube to watch that video. They want you to post the video in that social network. So that's, I mean, that's a different way of doing it. So now I wonder if the YouTube videos get as much action as they used to. I mean, if they're really good, they will. And same goes for like now reels. Reels are a whole thing, and you got to pick up on one of those to get going. So yeah, hopefully people hear it. I mean, I had a lot of fun times putting it together with my buddies, and there's a lot of people involved. It wasn't just the band members. Big shout outs to, you know, Sean Gugula did an amazing job mixing the album and helping us kind of bring the sound back to what we'd been hearing for so long, and do some of that stripping away to make the good parts pop, I guess. And yeah, Noah Mintz mastering the album. It was such a pleasure to work with a guy who's worked on some of, or a lot of my favorite albums, and others in the band too. Such a Toronto staple, and contributions from my friends and my brother and my wife, and like, yeah, it was super fun to work on this. It's been a long project, but it's coming close.
How many tracks does the album have?
It's nine tracks.
9 tracks. I think I looked over the back, posted the track list on Instagram and Twitter, I think, and I think I looked over them. But dude, what's the running time? Do you know, or do you?
Yeah, no, it's around 30 minutes.
30 minutes. It's pretty good.
There's a couple instrumental tracks in there.
Oh, nice. I'm a pretty big fan of instrumental stuff. I got a lot of like movie scores on vinyl and stuff like that.
Oh, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping there'll be some sync licensing opportunities too. I mean, if you want, I have the instrumentals of the tracks that you could listen to without lyrics. If you got to put those together too. Yeah, I also really love good instrumental music. If it's got a feel. Feel Good Lost by Broken Social Scene is like one of my go-to albums for pretty much getting work done, or like, you know, just easy listening. That is one of the most beautiful instrumental, I guess, rock or indie rock or whatever it is, albums out there.
Broken Social Scene is great. I remember shortly after I met you guys, I sort of got introduced to Broken Social Scene through another guitarist that I was listening to, Johnny Marr.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So, in terms of just creativity in general, you do art too, don't you?
I would not consider myself a painter or a drawer. I have terrible handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't call myself artistic in that way, but yeah, no, I do like making art, like as far as like the album cover and the back cover and little interesting videos. Yeah, I like to produce videos. I like to yeah, that sort of thing I would say is more up my alley.
I try to convey this as much as I can. Any form of self-expression can be considered art. If you want to stick your head out the window in traffic and scream at the guy in front of you because he's not moving, you're expressing yourself in a form and outwardly putting it as something.
I do that all the time. So
right.
In that way, yes, I'm an artist.
I like to think of myself as creative expressionist rather than artist, because the term artist to me means somebody reputable. Like, hey, I would consider you an artist, like definitely in terms of music, because you've made an album and you've sold the album and it's done well, and there's music out there on Spotify that you can listen to prove that.
Sure.
As far as art goes, I wouldn't even consider myself an artist because I've never really painted a picture or anything that's actually either gone up in a gallery or made any money. So
I don't think that's.
I don't think that that's necessarily the line that needs to be drawn either. But
I think you're selling yourself short. I've seen some of your artwork, and you've done some cool work. I mean, I like the work that you've done on the podcast. I like some of your paintings, and yeah, man, you're out there making art all the time. That's like that's cool as heck. And I should say, I know so many really talented people who have like really good jobs that they're like, I call them bedroom players. Like some of the best guitarists I know aren't professional musicians. They've never put out an album. They've never written a song that I know. I mean, but if you jam with that guy in a bedroom or like in the corner, like some of the most phenomenal people they just didn't go that route. They're not making a living off of it, and that's okay. I mean, they're artists especially when they pick up a guitar or something else. Like, yeah, I think there's tons of folks out there that could call themselves artists if they're passionate about it, and it doesn't have anything to do with sales of anything. I mean, I certainly didn't make this album because I thought I was gonna make a whole bunch of music sales. I mean, it would be fun, but I mean that's not what we're all in it for.
I find it difficult to avoid that part of creating any kind of art. Personally, a lot of the time, if I go into creating something, lately it's been a digital illustration of space. Been what I focus on. I started, and I mean, I haven't really. I've got a little shop online that I sell my stuff from through a third party, but like, there's no initial intention to try and make money from it. But I often find myself disappointed when nothing happens with that. Do you ever get to a point where like you make something and then it doesn't do well and then you feel that kind of disappointment?
I try not to think about it, to be honest. Like I used to do a lot of acting, film and television, musical theater, and all the auditions that I went out for, like if you can imagine all the times that I would like learn a script and go out and audition for something, I think the only way I could have dealt with it, and I did deal with it, was just, I left the room and I was just, I did it. I did my best. I gave it my all and move on. Like it wasn't always about, oh, they loved me or like I was the perfect guy for it. It was fun auditioning too. You didn't always have to get the part. And I think that's the same way about, you're making art, you're putting it out there. That's awesome. If somebody likes it, there's so much out there. There's so many people putting things out. There's so many creative, talented people, and all the ones that just play in their bedroom. So I think you're really making it for you and anybody that'll look at it, and hoping that it brings a really good, positive, loving emotion to them, makes them feel good when they see it or look at it or listen to it or dance to it, whatever it is.
Awesome. So, in regards to like people, do you feel that when you're making your music that you're trying to, I mean, usually, as we say, when you're making something, especially like a piece of art, for me, myself, when I'm doing an illustration, I'm making it for myself. When you're creating music, are you thinking about like the people that you're making it for, or are you just thinking about what you like?
That's a good question, and I that's something that I think people probably battle with a lot. You think you want to sound like something, or you try to make something that you really would want to listen to. I mean, it's really hard to do that, or to like try to fit yourself into a specific genre for. I mean, one of the hardest things is like when you're trying to pitch on like playlists and things like that, and you're looking at they want you to put yourself into all these different, oh, what does it sound like, who are the top 3 artists that you would, or like, is it happy, is it sexy, is it fun, is it slow, is it sad, is it ambient, like all the different things. It's like to describe your own something, in every song being different. And I'm not sure if I'm answering your question at all, but what I'm trying to get at is when you're in it, it shouldn't really matter what, like you're really just trying to make something that you believe in and that you think is great and that you want to play. Like really, like there's a couple chords on the album that like every time I pick up a guitar, I want to play those chords. I think that's what you should be going for more than, I mean, there's a lot of different types of music and there's a lot of different types of art and there's an audience for all of it. I'm sure, I think, I mean, sure, there's things that nobody would like, but I think you just got to find your place. And I think anything with any industry and marketing is finding your audience and knowing who they are. And once you find that formula and it's working, I think you want to maybe stick to that. But the best bands reintroduce themselves all the time. And there's tons of examples of that. I mean, Radiohead's a really good one. You love the stuff, and you still love the stuff, even though it's not what it used to be.
Do you have a favorite track of yours that you like to play, like the most?
Like pick up a guitar and play that track?
Yeah. Like your favorite song to either pick up a guitar and just play, or like to play live, or I mean, I guess you haven't had much of a chance to play the new ones live.
I haven't had much of a chance to play live. I mean, right now the one that I think I'm having the most fun playing, and it's unlike most of the others, I would say, is probably Take a Photo. It's different. It's for me it just feels nice. I don't know. I like to play those chords.
Awesome. Is there any specific track that stands out above the others on the album?
Whew, that's really hard to say at this point. I don't know. Tomorrow on CIUT radio, 89.5 FM, there's a show called Music at High Noon. It's a really cool show.
I made a note. I was going to mention that after this. So.
12 p.m. Oh, no, yeah, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. And you know, I said, hey, this album's coming out soon, next couple of weeks. There's unreleased songs. I hope you like them. If there's anything on there you want to play. And you know, he did select one of the ones that I thought was one of the more fun songs on the album, Elevators, is the opening track. And another one, Satisfy. And I mean, I just you know, he could have picked just one. I would have been cool. I would have been really happy, but he picked two. And I guess they're the songs that stood out for him, aside from the one that he played when we first dropped that song, Cadillac Dreams. So yeah, no, I'm super stoked getting that support from the local community, playing their songs on the radio. At CIUT, I mean, it's probably the channel I go to most when I'm driving around the city. It's always different. You could get some really awesome reggae. I don't know what time of day, but like, I mean, when I flip that channel and it's reggae, it's awesome. When I flip that channel and it's some pretty hardcore stuff on there sometimes, I mean, there's something for everyone. And I love that this city has that.
Yeah, we've got some good radio stations and venues and all that fun stuff here. They tried to make Toronto a music city. I don't know if it worked, but I see a lot of creative people walking around, so
for sure.
I'm happy with like the way that this I guess you'd call it Toronto a community in general, but the community grows artistically.
I feel like 10 or 12 years ago, it was like going in the direction of Music City. I think they closed a lot of our favorite venues, smaller ones, like the ones that, I don't know, felt a little more personal. And they've been building them back up, and now they have added some really cool medium to large size venues for some really big acts, and that's been great to have in the city too. There's a lot more shows coming now, and especially now that the pandemic is mostly behind us and hopefully won't resurface anytime soon. Yeah, there's a lot of places to go see great music, a lot of great outdoor stages. There's a lot of festivals. I'm sad to see Turf, Toronto Urban Roots Fest, is no longer a thing. I love that one. I hope they bring it back. Yeah.
My personal favorite venue in the city is the Budweiser stage, just because it's outdoors and such a big space. Do you have a favorite venue within Toronto?
Um, Man, the amount of shows I've seen at the Budweiser stage, over it is a great venue, and the sound's pretty good, and you always have a good time. I do have a bone to pick. I should say, it there's not enough dancing at the Budweiser stage if you're not on the lawn, and if they don't have that lawn open, it's depending on the show. I mean, I've been to a couple Wilco shows there, one of my favorite bands, and I would love to be able to dance to some of those songs. And if they don't have that lawn open, I feel like people look at you funny if you're not sitting in your seat. And I would love to see that change, because I like going to rock concerts and standing up and dancing. But if I were to say a favorite, I mean, security shouldn't shut you out for trying to dance at a rock concert, or send you somewhere else. But a favorite venue in the city, I mean, I have so many. I've seen some awesome, awesome concerts with some bands who are humongous now at the Horseshoe Tavern. The Horseshoe Tavern has been very dear to us, has given us really amazing opportunities to play. But one of the coolest parts about that is all the bands that I've seen play that stage over the years, like Heroes, and whether they're in the twilight of their career or just getting started, or they're coming back for a couple of victory laps, like that's such an awesome room. And the checkered floor and all of that, like I love that place. But others, I mean, yeah, Lee's is fabulous. Cameron House is amazing. I mean, we haven't properly announced it yet, but we are going to be doing a show on November 25th at the Cameron House, and we're going to be in the back room, and we're really stoked because that's the first place we ever played too. And we've been back there for some of our favorite, most intimate shows. So yeah, I love that place, and I hope you can make it.
I'm gonna try to be there. Yeah. Sounds like an epic time, and I'm looking forward to it. Can you do me a favor and tell me a bit about your guitar?
Yeah. Well, I got a couple.
The one
Yeah, the Gretsch, I think
the
you're
Gretsch
talking
is the
about.
one I'm
You know,
talking
you would have
about.
seen live. Nothing too crazy to it. I'll tell you how I kind of got turned to it. I mean, my whole family plays guitar. My two older brothers and my dad grew up in a house with acoustic guitars, and I never really had one of my own. And I had the hand-me-down guitars that, and I loved them, and they were fabulous. But when it came time and I was writing music and I was considering starting a band and things like that, uh, I was going into music stores and trying to get a feel for what I might want. And I thought it would be cool if I went electric. And I thought it would suit my sound a little bit more. And I was trying out the different guitars, and that one kind of felt like a mix between. It felt like I was kind of playing an acoustic guitar, but in an electric way. And you could kind of do that with the Gretsch, or this Gretsch, this like the hollow body.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a hollow body,
Um,
right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. And when I started playing on it, and I kind of was like, okay, this is the heavy tone versus the. No, it could just sound kind of like an acoustic guitar with just a little more, and I love that about it. And then I started kind of getting into it, figuring out which kind of pedals would work well with it, and that was kind of how I found my sound, was through that guitar. The sound of that first album for sure. A lot of the songs on this album were with that guitar. I'm also playing a 90s Mexican telly a lot these days. It's got a Bigsby, a couple humbuckers. It's fun, and it's really nice, and I love it. And it's also on this album a bit. And yeah, I think I kind of go back and forth between them at this point.
Hmm.
And yeah, they're both feel like part of the family.
The Gretsch to me really stands out. It's it reminds me of Lennon's Gretsch.
Oh, Cool.
So every time I see it, I sort of get that sort of like feeling, there's an iconic guitar in the room and people are going to remember that guitar kind of thing. So it's definitely one that stands out to me. But I'd love to see that Mexican Telecaster. Looking forward to
Yeah,
the show. Maybe
I
you'll
mean,
bring
she's
that.
nice. I think it might be in some of the press photos. I'm just trying to picture. No, it wasn't in the music video for Cadillac Dreams. Um, yeah, you'll see it. You'll see it'll come
What
out.
color is it?
It's black and white.
Black and white.
Black and pearl or something. It's mostly black and it's got a little bit of shine on the. Yeah, she's nice.
I remembered when you were talking about how you saw it and like you kind of knew it was the right one. You were testing out guitars in the shop and stuff like that. I remembered when I went to, before I had my guitar and I was looking at different guitars, I had this program that was going on, and every day at lunch we had 45 minutes, and I'd hop out to the guitar store for 35 of those 45 minutes and just play a couple of guitars that were around. And there was this one BC Rich. It was a Warlock guitar. It was really like spiky, and it had these red pinstripes down it. And
Cool.
it was definitely the deciding factor for my Epiphone here, my Explorer.
Oh yeah, very cool.
But yeah, no, I know that feeling. So when you talk about it, I definitely get that euphoria that same guitarists get when they get it. I still play, but I haven't really done much work musically myself in a little while. But I'm looking forward to getting back into that once I get a stand for my MIDI keyboard and set up my drum kit again.
Part of it for me was like I did pick up Martins and Taylors and other things, and I was looking at them, and I played them before, and I was I love the way they sound, but I was like, but I have a few of those around my parents' house or with my brothers. I could borrow theirs if I needed one.
Mm.
This is my opportunity to be the electric guitar player in the family. No, but seriously, it was the right deal, and I'm glad I went with my gut on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a standout guitar, and like I said, something feels iconic about it. So when you guys end up selling a big record deal or something like that, and you'll be famous one day, It'll be that guitar that everybody's looking at through the Hard Rock Cafe window. I'm sure of it.
Sure. Oh yeah. Right on. I need to get tuned. I need to get it. Let's take it to the shop before that November show and make it sound real nice for you.
Awesome. Yeah, I got a buddy that works at the Long and McQuaid down there. I'm not sure which one it is.
Is it Tim?
No, my friend's name is Eric, but
Okay.
he does like the setting.
Shout out. That guy's the bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Drum master, but I think he's a manager there. Love that guy.
I'm sure that they probably know each other, Eric and Tim. Mark, I've enjoyed this so much. Thank you for coming on the podcast. You can give one more shout out to your album and where people can find you.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, behalf of Out in the Volumes, which is myself, I got Bradley Snyder, I got Michael Grundy, and Jake Berman. We're super pumped to bring new music to you guys. A couple Fridays from now, October 6th, we got a full album, and it's gonna be fun. And I hope you really enjoy it. You can already listen to Cadillac Dreams on Spotify and Apple Music and SoundCloud and Bandcamp. If you want to purchase music directly, I'd send you to Bandcamp. But we'll take all the followers we can get on Spotify. And yeah, I really hope you enjoy it. And Ballo, thanks so much for having me on the show.
Mark, it's been great.
Catch up.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. We should get some lunch sometime or something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, man.
Cool.
Thanks for joining me.
For sure.
And see you around, man.
Yeah, take care. Thanks again.
Yeah.